Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to draw a golden retriever, and I'm going to start with the eyes. So these are the brands I'm using, they're listed here, and I'm just going to go ahead and start with the eyes. So yeah, I'm going to start with the black Faber-Castell pastel pencil and basically just fill in the parts that look at least completely black in the reference photo. This is a commission, but I thought that since golden retrievers are such a popular breed, you guys might want to see the full process of how I draw it. So I'm going to be posting different parts of this video, probably on my YouTube channel as well. So first I'm marking where the black is going to be lightly and then going over darker. And then I'm going to use my walnut brown to fill in the iris. And the first layer is just going to look like this. It doesn't exactly look like an eye or anything at all good, but that is how we start. So now I'm going to blend this, and I'm going to keep blending it until you can't see the white specks of paper underneath it, and until the walnut brown black kind of blended, so there's kind of a transition between the two colors, which is what we're trying to achieve. In order to have your eye look like an eyeball, you're going to want your black to kind of transition into the brown color around it. Okay, now that blending has kind of dulled my colors, I'm going to go back over it with black to make sure the darkest parts are still black. And then all the way around, because that is how an eye is. It's kind of back and forth blending a lot of the time because you lose detail and vibrancy when you're blending, but you just have to find a balance. Okay, this is terracotta. So now I'm going to make little strokes towards the towards the pupil from the outside. And you only want to make these marks generally. In most reference photos, it'll be like this in the bottom half. So like a U shape, like this. And then once you do that, you're going to want to go back in with brown and then black. And I'm using brown to blend this terracotta from the black to the terracotta. Wait, black, yeah. So everything needs to be a transition color. And then I'm going to use black again and darken up the darkest parts. So it still doesn't look like much because we have not added many highlights. And I'm going to use the brown and kind of make this iris a little bit bigger. The fun part is the highlight, and that is coming up. So we still haven't touched white, and we're using blue now. The reason I'm introducing blue is because I want to draw this picture as if the dog is outside and the sky is blue, so the reflection was going to be blue. So in the general areas that's going to be like highlights, like those white dots of highlight, you're going to want to put like a really light blue. You might not even be able to tell that it's blue right off the bat. It's okay. And then the side of the iris also has some in my reference photo. And then there's a kind of water line down here that I'm going to do. So it's a very, very faded version now. The reason I have two whites is because one of them is duller, one of them is brighter, so I kind of use them. It's just like that because of the brands, but I use them both so that I can make it even more highlighted in some parts, I guess. The brand that is most vibrant and most soft is Caran d'Ache, but that's not always a good thing, and I'll talk about that later, I guess. And I added kind of a water line, And then I'm going to go back in with this one, which is much brighter, if you can see the difference. I don't know if you can on the camera, but I hope you can. Pretty crazy difference. And the reason is, again, because the Caran d'Ache brand is just softer. Okay, again, I'm going to kind of make the pupil a bit darker in those places that I had put blue. I don't want it over here as much, I guess. And then I'm going to use this blush pink, which I decided I'm going to use to highlight the brown area even more. And so yeah, that's one eye. I might kind of fix some stuff later, and the shape around it is not finished yet, I guess. So yeah, we will come back to that, and it'll kind of come together once we add all the shadows around it, so that it looks like it's inside the face more, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do the other eye. Again, kind of a summary, we're going to first block in the darker parts with black. And by darker parts, I generally mean just the areas that look pitch black in the reference photo, which is going to be some part of the top half, the pupil. In some photos, if you're like doing pet portraits or trying to draw your own pet or something like that, if you've taken a picture and the eyes are like flashing because of the flash and it just looks like the pupil is white, you don't have to draw it like that. When I get commissions that have that, I ask if it's okay if I just draw the pupil normally, and they say yeah. So the way to fix the flash and the pupils is just to replace the white part with black and you'll be fine. So I'm putting on that brown everywhere, and this iris again, same thing. If you want, you can save a spot for the white. It will probably make it a little bit brighter. With pastels, it's not that necessary to save like a little dot of white. I've just found that I want to blend more freely, and it's easier for me to just blend it and then not worry about that little dot and keeping it white. Also, if you're having trouble making the white mark but you don't want to get this pencil, you can also get a pastel stick, like a Faber-Castell or Unison or something like that, or New Pastel pastel stick, and they're like little chalk block looking things. Those are softer than the pencils, therefore they will make a much brighter, more vibrant mark, and you can use them on top of many layers, so they don't really run out. Once you've run out of layers on the paper and you can't really put anything else down, those ones will kind of save you, because you can put them on top of like almost infinite amount of layers. Speaking of layers, you should be using the, what's it called, pastel matte paper. Pastel matte. And this is just because it's the best paper for layering with pastels. If you're using a different paper and you want to just try it out, please do so, because I'm willing to bet you that your work will improve like at least 5 times better if you're using the pastel matte paper. Okay, and then I'm going to do my white spots. With highlights, it's really helpful if you have one highlight kind of on either side of the eye, at least one highlight. So if there isn't one highlight on either side of the eye, at least you should probably just add it in, like a dot here and a line here, for example, is a very common type of highlight. There's also a waterline thing going on over here, so I'm just adding that in. And the next thing I'm going to do is the nose, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to put a little bit of blue in here because I didn't earlier. I'm using very light pressure when I'm making this like soft blue haze almost. You don't have to do it either, it's completely optional. Okay. Just brighten this part up. And I accidentally made a mark, which I'm going to cover with black. Okay, moving on to the nose. First I'm going to get a couple more colors, I think. So let's plan this out. This is the nose. We're going to need black, walnut brown. You're still gonna need terracotta. Still gonna need light flesh and white and blue. Okay, and then the next thing is I want some like deeper pink colors, so this will be good. Pretty sure this is, I want to say it's cinnamon. Let me see. I don't really know. I will try to tell you guys colors later. So let's see. I also want like a purplish color, and this is Cup with Morton, and I want a dark blue. So I'll just grab that real quick. Blue. I think that's it, but if there's anything else, we'll just grab it along the way. So again, what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna start with black. I like starting with black because then I can kind of figure out what the rest of the colors are, or the values are gonna be, because I know the darkest one. So nostril shape is usually looks like this. It's like a moon shape almost, like, but it also curves around this way. So make sure you include that. And make sure if you're beginning with pastels or whatever art medium, you should be using references where you can clearly see all, like, a bunch of details so that you don't have to make stuff up, because that is making it much harder than it has to be. So again, it curves around this way. And something about nostrils that you want to pay attention to is you're going to want to blend from here to out to here so that it looks like it's like becoming deeper. It doesn't just randomly go from a nose to a nostril. It like curves into it. I don't know, I'll try to explain that better later. There's also darker parts along the edge usually, as in this example. It's all the way around the edge like this. And then the line in the middle. Another thing that's going to be pretty dark is over here. I don't know if you've noticed, but with pastels you want to start with the dark colors because you can layer light on top of dark. So since in nature things are highlighted, like you have the original color of the thing and then light kind of bounces off of it. That just, I don't know if that makes sense the way I explained it, but I think it just makes more sense naturally to use dark and then light. Whereas in other mediums like colored pencils, you're kind of forced to work backward. Again, I'm just putting in the shadows pretty lightly with this black pastel pencil. Next, I'm going to use the walnut brown. So walnut brown in the areas that I see brown, and I'm pressing quite lightly still. It's the first layer, so all I'm trying to do is block in where the color is, or rather a darker version of each color that I see. Like when I see white, I'm not going to put white, I'm going to put whatever color I see that's darker, it's inside the white, if that makes sense. I'm leaving this pink area to be pink though, so that's what that is. Like this. Sort of. Okay, and then I'm going to use this. Actually, do I have another pink? 1 second. It's fine, we'll use this one. A slightly darker pink would have been nicer, but it's okay. You can blend this out, it'll be fine. So I'm going to use that. I'm also going to blend this light flush pink into it. And the more layers you add, the easier it will be to blend. So just if you're having a hard time blending, which you shouldn't be at all with pastels, just add more layers. Pastels almost blend too much because once you're done with your piece, when you don't want it to blend and you accidentally touch something, it'll get ruined. So there's that. Okay, with this Cup with Morton, which is kind of like a purple, I guess it is a purple, I'm just gonna go around the edges of here. And what I'm trying to accomplish here is like a transition between pink and the black around it. You can't just go from pink to black, you're going to want to go purple and then brown, just because that's the way that you layer. And okay, now I'm going to blend this out. I might not have enough black down here, but it's okay. I'm pushing really hard with the the paper stump, because I'm trying to feed this pastel into the paper as deep as possible, so that I can put more layers on top of it, and so we get rid of that white little specks of background, or whatever color you're using for the background. If you're beginning, it might be easier to use a mid-tone color background, like, I don't know, light gray or brown, to start, because it might be easier to see all your highlights and shadows, because like white is really light. But if you are going from dark to light and just putting your darker values first and then putting light ones on top of it, you shouldn't really have a problem with white. And I do lots of subjects that are white on top of white paper, and I will make more videos about that. But I do have a YouTube video of drawing like white tiger fur on white paper. So it's coming along quite nicely, but as you can see, the pupils are really dark and the rest like isn't. That's because we blended. So we're going to darken it up again. So just all the parts that were dark before, I'm putting them back in again. Instead of only using pastel pencils, you can also use pastel sticks like under it, but be careful that you don't just completely use up all the layers of the paper, because even on pastel matte, which is a lot better than other papers, the layers do run out quite fast if you're not careful. So just make sure that you're leaving enough room for detail if detail is what you are going for. If you're thinking of what materials you want to buy if you ever want to try this, you'd want to get a set of pastel matte paper, which should be written here, pastel matte paper, Faber-Castell pencils, and just a blending stump, and then, yeah. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add blue, and it's going to look super cool. So this is a really dark blue. I don't know the name, but just any dark blue to put in with the darker parts of the nose, like in these black areas. You see how there's blue here and here? If you're having trouble seeing colors like blue and green and yellow in your whatever color fur in your reference photo, you can up the saturation by just going into the Photos app and clicking edit and then finding saturation, turning it up higher. And this will help. Just don't like exactly copy it, but in your first layer, when you want to make things more saturated, which I'll talk about later on, I guess, it's just really helpful to see what colors are actually there until you train your eye to see the true colors that are in black and white, for example. I'm using the lighter blue for the areas that are lighter, like on top of the pink. And the areas under the nostrils are pretty light as well. Over here, I'm gonna apply some more pink where it's kind of faded out. Okay, now I'm going to do some of that blending that I was talking about earlier with the nostrils. So the nostrils, you can't just go from a light color here to a really dark color here. The reason that this is dark is because it's like farther away from, well, it's not farther, it's just that it's in like a little hole, and to get into that hole, if it makes sense, you have to like go deeper. I don't know how to explain it, but basically there has to be a transition between here and here to make it look realistic. I haven't really found the words to explain that part yet, but basically just drag the black out here and mix the colors with maybe a blending stump or your finger if you have nothing else. You should try to avoid using your finger though, because first of all, it can get other places, but second, like, your finger has oils no matter how much you wash it or whatever, and that will like impact your artwork in the end, and you don't want that. Also, there's whatever like not really sure how true it is or how much we need to worry about this, but pastels are not that great for your skin. Like, there are warnings on some of them about being known to the state of California to cause cancer, for example. I live in California, so I guess that's why it says California, but yeah. And another thing I forgot to mention, which is kind of important here, is that when I'm making the texture on the nose and applying especially like the last couple of layers, I'm using circular motion because unlike fur, which is like lines, the texture here is more like little dots. If you've ever looked at your dog's nose or a dog's nose up close, you see that there's a bunch of tiny holes, not holes, sorry, bumps. So that's what I'm trying to kind of convey here by making small circles. So the pink part looks pretty good. I'm just going to be adding white on top of that at the end. And then for the rest of the areas, I'm going to start making things make more sense with this walnut brown. Sorry, I have to blow the little dust away from time to time. So with the brown, I am transitioning between the pink and the black. If you kind of jump from dark colors to light colors really fast or abruptly without introducing a middle color in between, it's not going to look as realistic. So I would recommend when you're going from, for example, white to black, if you're drawing a zebra, you need to take a gray color and kind of go in between them. And if you want to be extra advanced, figure out if that gray color should be a warm gray or cold gray. Okay, also, you want to go all the way around the pupil. God, I keep saying pupil because I've been drawing eyes for so long. Okay, nostril. You want to go around the black part of the nostril with this brown. Make little circles really lightly. Again, transitioning. And then because I've kind of put brown into the nostrils, I'm going to darken them up again. So I learned how to draw from just YouTube and experimenting on my own. And we have picked up the white, by the way, so this is gonna be fun. We're making little dots. Don't rush. Yeah, so if you want to like know how I learned and maybe follow the same path, basically what I did is I started with pencil drawings with like graphite, and I didn't exactly master them per se. They're not like nearly as good as I draw now. Graphite is also a pretty hard thing to master, but at least you don't need to worry about color there. So I did pencil sketches and like tried to figure out how to make more contrast. I was scared of creating contrast at first because like you're taking a perfectly good sketch and just pressing really hard on it, and that seems scary, at least for beginners, I think. So what I did, didn't use any of my orange. There's a little bit of orange up here. Anyway, what I did is I started using charcoal. Just after I did a very basic sketch, I would use charcoal, and that kind of forces you to make super black lines. So I did that for quite a while. Well, quite a while being a couple months, I think. And then my mom got me pastel pencils. I think I started with Derwent but didn't like them and just got Faber-Castell also. And then what I did was I looked up, I think it was Colin Bradley, the first one I did. Colin Bradley is a great teacher. So basically he has a couple free videos, and you can also be a Patreon. What you do is you look up Colin Bradley and then you find his like Jack Russell tutorial was the one I did. It's a tutorial of a dog, and he teaches you like exactly, he uses a different paper that's more affordable than pastel mat, and you kind of just buy that paper from him, and then you watch the video. It's a full-time like 2-3 something hours video, and you just draw with him, and you end up, if you follow all the directions, you end up with something that actually looks pretty decent, just because the way he teaches and the level that he's trying to achieve isn't hyper-realism. His drawings don't look hyper-realistic either, but they're like, they look more attainable, I guess. So he's the best beginner pastel artist that I would recommend. So anyway, I just kept drawing these drawings by using like different artists' free tutorials on YouTube, but they were like full tutorials in real time, so they weren't sped up and they weren't just how to draw an eye. It was a full piece, and I felt like I really benefited from that. By the way, I'm going to use blue, this really light blue that kind of looks like a gray on top of the black, to make the little dots over here, because white would be too bright to put on top of black directly. Anyway, so after I was able to create a couple like pretty good drawings, in my opinion, with like a tutorial or whatever, I started using time lapses. So I would look up artist time lapses, which were a lot more, like, they were just easier to find, I guess, with Pastels, and I would watch literally just 5 seconds of it and then try to replicate that. And the reason this helped was because it made me stop relying on exactly how they draw, but just showing me the layers or the colors that they used in order. Like, I would see, okay, first they used brown, then they used pink, and then I would kind of try to copy that. And that was just really fun for me. So I kept doing time lapses like this. Of course, copying others' artwork for like learning purposes is perfectly fine. You just don't sell them. You don't really post online without their permission. But it was just for me, so it was all good. And then after time lapses, I was still too scared to start using like my own reference photos or reference photos of just, I guess, photos. So I started using just other artists' work as a reference photo because I could see all the little lines they made and it just seemed easier. So I did that for a while, and then finally I started using photos. And you can find great like artists' reference photos sites. You do have to use royalty-free ones, otherwise you are stealing the photographer's photos, which are also artwork. So don't do that. There is websites like Pixabay and Unsplash, which are completely free artwork, and then there's wildlife references for artists, which is I think $5 a reference photo, but they're amazing. Anyway, that's how I learned. I'm also trying to teach others through TikTok and YouTube, and yeah. And I'm still making little dots, as you can see. Another tool that I use is this color shaper, and this is a plastic tip blender, and the reason I like using it is because right now I can make things softer with this one, but if I used this thing, the paper blender, and put it on here, first of all, it would completely muddy up everything, and second, I would lose all the detail that I just put in, which took a while, and I don't want to lose all that detail, right? So what I do instead, don't mind the correction here, what I do instead is I blend with this, and this is going to just soften things. I'm just kind of tapping it instead of full-on blending, but it's going to soften things, and sometimes that makes it more realistic. Like in this case, I'm going to soften up some parts that I think shouldn't look too much like, I don't know, dots, pencil marks. And yeah, I think that the benefit of this is that it doesn't ruin your detail, but you can make it softer, but the paper blending stump I think is pretty essential for the first couple of layers. Just gonna add a couple more dots in places. And then there are gonna be some pink dots over here. And we're gonna move on to fursun. So yeah, just for the bigger highlights, I'm pressing pressing harder, making kind of bigger marks, I guess. And over here, and the highlights of the nose are really, really important because they're the stuff that makes it look wet. And you see how that contrast between the dark and the black and the white, that you only want to do that kind of thing, like white on black, for making something look wet, usually. And usually the place that's most wet on a dog's nose is like right next to the nostrils, because nostrils are wet. Or I guess, I don't know, wet stuff comes out of them. You don't really want to think about that, but that is the part that gets really wet. And then also another part that you want to make sure to highlight is the top of the nose. It's going to be generally right here, and I've already pretty much done that, but it should be brighter than the other parts of the nose. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit, sorry, it's taking a while. This is a commission, so I do have to make sure it looks great, and I think it is looking great so far. I need to put a little more detail into the shadowed area. I do love doing commissions though, and if you'd like to commission me, the link is in my bio. And then we can blend this part out a bit. Okay, moving on to fur. Actually, never mind, I lied. I'm gonna do the mouth as well. Someone just asked how do I know when I'm ready for commissions, or how does somebody know? I mean, I think in most cases when I've talked to artists, and also how it happened to me, is that somebody asks you for a commission and they know that you're ready. So first you get to the stage where you want to start showing people your art, because I know that a lot of beginners don't like start off documenting their progress because they think that their art is bad or something. Which, by the way, there's no such thing as bad art. It's just beginning art or different style of art or something like that. Anyway, yeah, I'm starting with black just like last time, so nothing to really say here. How I started doing commissions was I was at some school like art fair event, and I brought some of my art there, and I hadn't really shown, I wasn't on social media or anything, I didn't show people that much my art, but I kind of put it up there. And then what happened was some lady eventually was like, well, she saw that I had drawn other cats, and she was like, oh, I would love a drawing of my own cat, because she didn't want some other random cat I'd found on the internet, which hadn't really occurred to me. I was trying to sell them at the time, but it's fine. She was like, oh, I would pay you $100 if you could do my cat. And I was like, oh, sure. So then, I mean, I've since raised my prices, but that was a great starting price for me. So she just offered to pay that much, and I was like, okay, cool. So I did the portrait for her. She sent me a picture, and then we like talked about it, and she offered some changes, and I was like, okay, sure, I can make those. So I changed it a bit, and then she liked it, and then she paid me how much she said she would, and it was great. You can advertise that you do commissions on social media once you start posting frequently on there. I mean, once you have like a consistently good level of art that you're proud of, and all your art is, I don't know, like most of it you feel like is meeting the standard that you set for yourself, and then you're good, because I mean the person who's commissioning you has seen your other artwork, and as long as you can make it around as good as that other artwork that they have seen, you're all good. A lot of people are too, like, they feel like there's too much pressure on them when they're making commissions, and then drawing just doesn't feel fun to them anymore, which is perfectly fine. I personally don't feel that way, but you don't have to do commissions. You can also do your own original artwork, post it on TikTok, and then people might like it and buy it. And then a great way to decide prices is if somebody comes up to you and asks you for a commission, you can ask them how much they think it's worth, and then if you think that you'd be willing to part with your artwork for that much money, then go ahead and say yes. If not, suggest something else, or just go with somebody else. I don't know. But people who out of the blue ask, like, can I commission you, are generally going to offer you a fair price, I think, maybe. Okay, so I've kind of put the blackest parts here. What you want to do for the shadows of a tongue, I've seen a lot of artwork where artists just draw this part of the tongue like all the same color from here to here. There is almost, actually, yes, always going to be a shadow from, I don't know, somewhere up here, because this snout area is on top of the tongue. If you don't draw a shadow here, it's going to look like the tongue starts like exactly where the, like, up here. Like, instead of inside their mouth all the way back in here, it's gonna look like it's attached to this part of the bottom of the nose and just like hanging out, which is not anatomically correct. So if you'd like to make sure your shadows are in the right place, just make sure you include this shadow. It's very, very important. Huge pitch black shadow. Okay, so this is like a reddish purple, and I'm gonna use this cup of Mortem I was talking about earlier. It's going to have a lot of black in it, but it also should be like a purpley black, I guess. And then you can have a pretty stark contrast between like the shadowed area and the non-shadowed area, as you can see. Like, that's a really sharp line there. And I've been saying like transition your colors, but you don't really have to do it as much for a shadow. Okay. After this one, I like doing the more detailed areas first, and then I'm gonna do the fur. A lot of artists also just start from like the left and go to the right if they're right-handed, and the other way around if they're left-handed. Okay, next I'm going to use this. Just get a pink color, fill in the tongue area. Again, I'm going to blend all this out so it's okay. The teeth, you do not want to start with just white, but you also don't want to put anything like, definitely do not put black anywhere near the teeth. That's going to look like the dog has rotting teeth, because rotting teeth do have black in between them. What you're going to want to do instead, let me find what colors, is you're going to want to get, sorry, a really, really light gray, or even just like an ivory color. And then there's also pink here. The way that you kind of differentiate between teeth is that you make a little bit of pink go up from like the bottom, if that makes sense, between them. One, two, three. Okay, there's supposed to be 6 in between here, so I messed up a little bit. I'll fix it later. Yeah, let's just pretend that's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Try and do the spacing right. 5, 6, maybe. I know I said the teeth aren't just white. I will be putting more colors. I'm just trying to fix a mistake I made. Pastels are also pretty forgiving. You can just erase stuff sometimes. If it's light enough, it'll erase. And even if it's like just black, erasing will help you because it will be able to put more colors on top of it. Whereas if you just have a really pitch black area and you try to draw with something white on top of it, it's not going to show at all. Well, it's not going to show very much. But if you erase it and then cover it up with stuff, it might work out. Okay, I'm just kind of fixing the shape of the teeth right now. And keep in mind that like white reflects other things really well, so what you're gonna want to do is like the pink around here is actually going to really affect the color that the teeth are. So you can use like your lightest pink or something and kind of lightly go over parts of the teeth that you think might have that, like the parts that aren't the most highlighted part. Again, use really light pressure, especially when you're dealing with white, because you don't want to overpower it. Teeth are pretty hard to do though. If you're just starting out, I would recommend picking a subject with a closed mouth. horses are actually a pretty good first subject just because they have shorter fur, so you don't have to like worry about how the fur is curving or things like that. I should make a horse tutorial. I haven't done that for some reason. Another thing that's going to be reflecting off of the white teeth, as well as a lot of other places, is blue. So take your blue, maybe clean it. These, I mean, they're not brushes, but the ends of them do get like dirty because you're putting them in. Like, I've been using this blue to highlight on top of black, so there was a little bit of black residue, I guess, on top of the blue, and I just wanted to make sure that it was clean before putting them on the sparkly white teeth. Again, blue is going to be used as a shadow color here just because the white is already, I mean, the teeth are already white. You can't really highlight white with blue. There's usually like one stripe of, it's not a stripe, but it's like a line of highlight down teeth, like a little dot, and I made them a little bit too white to be able to do that, so it's going to take some work to get them right, so it might take a while, but if you are willing to wait or skip ahead or something, you can like go somewhere else and come back. I'm also going to add a little bit of like contrast here and put purple into the pink. I'm also going to put this dark purple like in between the brown and, not the brown, the black and the pink, because just as we talked about transitioning colors before, we're going to want to keep doing that. One thing I love doing on mouths is like highlighting the tongue with blue. I mean, there is blue on the tongue, so it's not really a surprise that I do that, but I just feel like it looks so much more realistic when I use blue. I don't know why. I haven't taken an art class. I'm not gonna be able to give like explanations that have the vocab that you're used to if you're taking an art class or that makes sense to you, but I'm trying to make it I'm trying to make it make sense as best as I can. Another place that's like a really common place of highlight is right here. So I'll show you. I'm just gonna mark where I'm gonna put the highlight with this blue so that I don't like mess up, I guess. I mean, I could fix it if I mess up quite easily with the white, but it's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna put it here, here, and there. Maybe some over here. So yeah. Hello! I'm doing a live video. What? I am recording a live video. Outside. Okay, and then just putting the white where I put the blue earlier. Okay, so now that I've gotten that, it's just really important to put these white, like on top of the black especially, as I said before, it makes it look wet because you don't usually put white on top of black. So that's really important to include because a mouth is very wet, so especially a dog's slobbery mouth. So yeah, there's also going to be a lot of highlights going on in here. Fix the color right here. There's also a line down the middle of the tongue that you can't really see very well in the reference picture, but I'm gonna add it in. You don't want to use black right here. Like, black to do the middle of the tongue is fine over here, not that you can see it very well or at all, but I would recommend doing like a purple in here, like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna blend with this thing. Okay, there's a way to highlight tongues that I think is really helpful that I'm going to go over now. So I do want to fix the color of this place really quickly. It's a little bit brighter pink than this. And again, I don't have to match everything exactly. Like, even though I'm doing commission, I do have the right to change things as an artist. I'm not making a photocopy here, and my customer knows that, and so I'm allowed to do those things. If I'm making a huge change, I would of course go over it with the customer before actually making the change and making sure they're okay with it. But yeah, okay, so for highlighting the tongue, you're going to want to do something to the edges, which I'm about to show you for real now. Okay, so you're going to take your white. Again, I would recommend Caran d'Ache white, just because it's really soft and it's more vibrant than other brands. So I know that the Caran d'Ache pencils are really expensive, so you don't have to buy the whole set, but I would recommend getting like 1 to 2 white pencils, maybe a black as well, because that's really helpful. So you're going to want to go around the edge like this, but not the very edge. So it's gonna be like a curve thing at the end of the tongue. I don't know how to describe it to you, but there is a curve right here on the edges of tongues. That's just how they work, and that means that you're gonna want to highlight and then like a darker area on either side of that curve. So highlight and then a little bit of a darker, it's not actually that dark because you're making it darker than white. Again, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but look, pink on this side, pink on that side, white in the middle, and that makes it look like this one part is curved a little bit upward, and it's like folding like a bowl a little bit, because that's what tongues do. That's what this tongue is doing, that's what a lot of tongues do, so putting it there really helps. Another thing I haven't done yet is I'm going to use purple to make a shadow under the tongue. The tongue does not actually go like into the teeth, right? It ends right around here. So I'm using a little bit of purple to make the shadow, but because of where it is, it's not like a huge or heavy shadow at all. It's actually rather tiny. You can barely see it. And see, this had black on it. I forgot to clean it, so I've just made a black smudge there, but it's okay because we can fix it. Okay, back to white. There is a curve right here because the tongue is sitting on the tooth, so it curves right there. I don't know if you can see that. Right, so I'm not gonna make it a straight line, like little dots, because like the tongue has little taste buds, and those taste buds are little dots, right? And the same thing's happening over here because the tongue's resting on the tooth. And then again with this whole curve thing that I was talking about earlier, you put the white almost at the edge of the tongue like that. And it shouldn't be like uniform highlights everywhere. You want to make some of them bigger, some of them smaller, some of them non-existent maybe. So I'll blend a little bit of stuff out here. Nothing should be uniform. Uniform meaning like the same. So okay, a little bit purple on the side. Or like, what was I using before? Pink on this side, pink on that side. Maybe a little bit of like purple on the side just to show the bowl shape again. By bowl shape, I mean the tongue is sitting in the mouth like this, sort of, because there's teeth on this side and teeth on that side. And it's just like curving up a little bit here. Okay, and then make sure you clean your blending tool. This is a color shaper, is the name of the blending tool. You can use your finger or a blending stump if you want, but these ones just soften up what you're doing and blend it very lightly instead of completely destroying your texture or detail that you've just made, so they're good for the final layers. Just when you want to keep what you've done. I'm gonna use the blue now. So we're gonna get out blue, and I'm gonna use it to, you see how there's a lot of blue shadow right there? That kind of helps with the whole vibrancy, making it seem like the dog's outside / alive. I don't know, just add it. Don't question. I'm gonna put some blue over here. Okay, and then I'm gonna make my dots of white again on top of it. Okay, here. I'm just smoothing out the edges of the tooth because it's not like jagged. Gonna use white to fix that. Okay. Let's see, what do we have now? Okay, so the teeth, I'm going to try to fix some stuff here. This tooth is a bit too long. And purple at the base. You want to make sure you're looking at your reference photo basically as much as you're looking at your own drawing, because you start to draw what you think should be there and not what actually is there, and I'm guilty of the same thing. But if you're going for realism, you want to look at your reference photo as much as possible and just check everything. You might think that there's a shadow that looks a certain way just because you think logically there should be, but if you do it the way that the reference photo has it, that's gonna look real because the reference photo looks real. So if you want to highlight the white even further, which even though I use 2 different types of whites in order to do that, you can use a third material. So the first one I used was this Faber-Castell one, which is a pretty hard pencil for being a pastel pencil. Benefits are it is like you can add more detail with it, I guess. Drawbacks is it's not as vibrant. This one's more vibrant, so I use this and then this. Another thing you can add on top of that is a pastel stick like this one. It's a broken piece, but you get the idea. It's a stick. I think this one's a new pastel one, but there are lots of brands like Faber-Castell does them too. And just to show you how bright this is, let me just press down, make a little dot. Wait. I don't think you can see that on the camera. It's actually very small. Oh wait, I got it. Okay, never mind. Okay, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it is brighter. So you want to press down pretty hard so that it makes a mark. And it's able to highlight stuff that the pencils couldn't, blowing away dust, because this thing is softer, like it breaks easier, it's softer, so it like comes off into the paper easier, and it's kind of sitting on top, not really in the paper, so when you touch the paper accidentally, that's the first thing that's gonna go. You can also use it for, that's over here. I'm not gonna touch the eyes, I'm too scared. But you can go over here, make this dark. See? Did you see that? It's brighter. It's just very hard to be precise, which is why I'm not gonna touch the eyes because they're small. Same thing goes for darker colors. If you want to make your pupils darker or your nostrils darker or something like that, or this whole eye area, you can use a black pastel stick. So yeah, where did my black pencil go? I'm probably blind, but I don't see it. Oh, I found it. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna fix up this area and make it darker. I'm not gonna be able to finish this entire portrait in one sitting, but I will continue doing this for as long as I think I have time for, because I have homework, and then I will continue the rest another time, and then hopefully upload the whole thing to YouTube, because I'm doing this on TikTok Live. And then I'm just darkening up this part that I had put purple on. So I think that looks pretty real. I mean, not hyper-realistic, but it definitely reached my goal. This is my style. I really like it. So yeah. Next thing I'm going to do is the fur, and that's a completely different set of materials, so I'm going to start switching those, and yeah, I can try to answer some stuff in the comments. Let me look really quick. Do I ever use the electric eraser for highlights? I do not, because this, the eraser is not effective enough here for highlights, and also the white paper is not like, this is actually brighter than the white paper, if that makes sense. An electric eraser or any eraser is not going to be able to highlight something because it's only sort of going to be able to get that pastel off. You want to highlight with lighter colors that are actually going to show up on top of the dark ones. Thank you guys so much for all of your comments. Thank you. Okay, make sure to ask questions now so I can get to them, and then I will resume drawing. Do I ever get bored? I do not. I'm in love with wildlife and animals and drawing, so it doesn't really get old. I just switch what I'm drawing if I ever sort of get bored. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start the fur base with these. It speeds it up and sometimes just helps make things look more realistic. So doing golden retriever. So the obvious colors that I'm gonna get are colors that look like golden fur, brown. I'll put them over here. Black, white, this really light yellowish color, this other less light yellowish color. I don't know if you can see those. And then how long will this take me to finish? I want to say there's probably like 2 hours left because I'm somehow going really fast since this is like the not thousandth, maybe like 20th golden retriever that I've tried to draw. Thank you so much for following. Okay, let's keep going. Let's look at the reference maybe. Okay, so I'm going to trying to make fast decisions here so that you guys don't get bored. Honestly, I don't think I need much else. I'm gonna take some like red color. Don't want to use a lot of that at all. And then a pink. Oh yes, we need pink. This is a light pink. Oops. And then also, let's just take this to be safe, and this. These are all different types of pinks. That should be good. Here's a brown. Okay, cool. So now I'm gonna go with these. I'll put my materials on this side so you guys can see. These are Unison soft pastel sticks. I'll put that over there so you guys can see. And the pencils are going to go on top of this, so we're not done with pencils at all, but this is the next step. So yeah, hopefully this will be on YouTube as soon as I'm done, so you guys can watch that. Okay, the tool that I'm going to be using for blending is a soft tool, SOFFT, and the way that this is going to work is we're going to do, I guess section by section is better in this case. So I have two browns. This one's lighter. I have a very light outline down that I got by tracing. If you'd like to trace, go ahead and do that. If you want grid method, do that as well. Freehand is kind of harder, but if you can do that, that's super cool. Go ahead and do that. Make sure your shadows are in the right places though. That's really going to help with the drawing. Let's do the ear first. So it's not meant to look good right now. It's actually in the ugly stage, like with the fur here. It's gonna look a lot worse before it gets better. So those are the darkest parts, the lightest parts. I'm just gonna use this light yellowy color first. This is not chalk, this is soft pastels, and it's right there. Okay, and then here, I'm just putting the lightest colors down so that I know where those are. This is like a pinkish color, so I'm gonna put that down sparingly. Okay, I'm using very light pressure, and the goal is to use as little of these as possible to cover the paper so that I can move on to pencils without taking up too many layers of the paper, because if I do too much of this and keep layering, even if I make the colors more accurate and make it look better with these, adding pencils on top of that is going to be kind of a nightmare. It's not going to want to draw. So you need to just cover the paper with sort of accurate colors, maybe a bit darker than what's on the actual reference photo, and then just move on to pencils. So it's taken me many attempts to finally understand that, because I always want to put too much of this stuff down. Okay, let me just put in that part and this part as well. And now I'm going to blend the first part. So with this, just lightly blend stuff out. And obviously it's muddying up everything. So if you don't want to go into the lightest areas with that, you don't have to. Just, I don't know, use your finger. Finger is generally bad though, because it like transfers the oils on your finger. Just gonna put those back in. Okay. Says finger is bad and then uses finger. Okay, whatever. Okay, so that's kind of that part, just to make sure that it's all gonna work out, and to prove to you and myself, I guess, because this is kind of scary every time that it works out. I'm gonna actually use some pencils now to just show you the whole process before I do it all at once. So I'm gonna get walnut brown, black, let's see, terracotta, this ochre color, ivory, white, I'm looking for cream, green. There's a lot more colors, but let's just start with this. Okay, so you thought the other part was hard? This is the actual hard part. Fur, in my opinion, is much worse than eyes or tongue or whatever. Okay, so that's the shadow under the ear. And now I'm gonna add, you wanna use light strokes here. I know you're gonna want to press down, but don't. Light strokes. And we're going dark to light still. Now we're making little strokes. None of them can be parallel, none of them can be the same. They shouldn't be facing exactly the same direction. They should be like randomized, but still in the direction of the fur. So that's the part that kind of takes a lot of years of practice, or at least months of practice, to get your hand used to that. Because in the very beginning, a lot of people who start out are gonna just want to do straight parallel lines. None of the lines should be straight. It's like nature does not create straight lines, so like that. Okay, and then using my ochre color, I'm gonna make little lines in the rest of the places. There are lots of different methods to drawing fur. Like, great artists do whole different methods and get the same results or better results sometimes, I don't know, but basically you can either do completely pencil and pan pastel, which I'm not even using now. It's like a powdery, it's like when you use these and you rub them on something and you get the powder. Well, it's like all of those compressed into a pad that kind of looks like makeup. You apply it with the soft tool. So that's pretty cool as well, but I don't like using it, and they're really expensive as well. You can also do pencil plus soft pastel, which is what we're doing now, and you can also do all three of them. You can also do any number of those plus colored pencil. Now, colored pencils are wax based and they do go on top of pastels, okay, but you can't go back with pastels on top of those because they're like too waxy for the pastel to grip, so it's not gonna go back on top of it. So I personally don't have much experience using colored pencils at all, but that is what I know about like using them both together. I think it actually gets more detail if you use pastels and then colored pencils. Or you could just use only colored pencils. Colored pencils are really good for detail. They're just not as vibrant, and you can't, I don't know, blending is just harder. You can definitely blend and it like works beautifully. It's just that it takes longer, more layers, more patience, and yeah. Colored pencil generally takes longer but is more detailed. Pastels are more vibrant and messier, and they take less time, I guess, but they're not as detailed. I don't know. Overall, I prefer pastels, although you could say I haven't given colored pencils a fair enough try. I have made several pieces, but I didn't technically follow like a full tutorial to do them. I was kind of just experimenting, so it's possible I was just doing everything wrong. And again, we are doing the darkest parts first, so I will be lightening this up, do not worry. What you do want to constantly be worried about is how many layers you have left, because don't keep putting layers down if you know that it's going to end soon. You're just going to be left with that color. So I've drawn enough of these dogs with this method to know that I'm okay right now, but if you press too hard on any of the layers, especially with the soft pastels, or yeah, with the unison soft pastels, it's going to eat up your layers really fast and you're not going to have enough left. If you're not able to do this technique, there might be a lot of different reasons. One is you're probably not using this paper. The paper is pastel matte paper. Another thing is that the paper actually has different colors, and those colors have different textures. So I'm using white. I also really like the light colors, like light gray and light blue, and those all work great. There are other colors like anthracite, which is the darkest one, and dark blue and dark green, and I do not like those colors. You have to use a completely different technique, in my opinion. Some people draw better on those, but I personally do not like them. So if you're following my tutorial, use light colors because that's what the technique is showing you. Make sure you've got the direction of the fur down and also the length of each hair. The hairs over here are going to be a lot shorter than the ones over here on the ear. Like up here on the ear, they get pretty floppy. I'm gonna do flyaway hairs later. I'm not exactly sure if I'm doing a background yet. I'm gonna check with the customer in a little bit, but because this is a commission. But flyaway hairs are pretty important. You don't want to make it look like a cutout, so you're gonna be like doing random strokes, like I don't know, these things that you can see past the outline of the dog. Those are called flyaway hairs. You also want to make them within the fur. Like if something's particularly fluffy, you're going to want to put like curved whatever lines everywhere that look a little bit out of place, but ultimately like make the whole thing make sense. I'm going to go back in with the dark one just to re-emphasize the shadows, I guess. Also, let me know if you'd like me to do more tutorials like this. The only way I'm able to do them right now is like a live video and then uploading it on YouTube, because if I do, I don't have enough time because of school to edit them, to make like a normal, I don't know, well-edited, pleasant to watch YouTube video with background music and cutting out the parts where I'm sort of failing at saying something or drawing something or finding materials. So apologies for that. Hopefully over the summer I'm gonna have time to upload better content, but if you haven't already, check out my other social medias, I guess, if you're watching this on YouTube. I have Instagram and TikTok, and if you're watching this on TikTok, my YouTube is linked in my bio. Okay, and then I'm going to, this is a light lemon yellow apparently, and it is of the Caran d'Ache brand, so it's going to be brighter. So as I'm running out of layers, I'm kind of switching to the softer pastels or pencils. I don't know how I've managed to do this much in one sitting, but I guess doing a lesson is motivating me really well. I've lost my white first. Okay, there we go. Make sure you're, like, when the fur is overlapping, that you're making them overlap. Like this part is kind of in front of the, in front of that part, for example. So there should be hairs that kind of go over the top. That's another thing that really helps with depth, along with contrast and shadows. Another thing you can try if your white or whatever color you're using on top isn't showing up very well is twisting it, like twist every time, and that just kind of makes the point. That's, I don't really know the explanation very well of why it works better, but it's easier to drag through a bunch of colors if you twist it. I guess I know why, I just can't explain it right now, because I'm trying to focus on not messing up this drawing. I do usually end up highlighting most things with white, maybe not black, but a lot of the things I do end up doing the final layer in white, because after I've put down all these colors, the white on top of it like isn't just pure white, it looks like whatever's underneath it, just lighter, so it's kind of nice using it as the last layer. Okay, so that's kind of what that ear is going to look like. I might fix it or change it later, but moving on to the rest, I'm going to start again with, let's put these over here. And I'm going to start again with these. Let me just look at the comments. How do you know where to draw when it isn't there? When it isn't there, does that mean like the outline? The outline is there, it's just incredibly light. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for the comments. They are not oil pastels, they are soft pastels. Sorry, I didn't, it's a soft pastel sticks, I don't know. Thank you. Okay, let me just continue real quick. Okay, with these, so what we're gonna do now is I'm going to, first there were some areas that were pink, right? So like here and here. So let's see. I'll go over it with white later. I'm trying to put down as little of these soft pastels as possible to preserve layers. So really lightly, just get it down there. Just try to find shapes of color, basically. That's the shapes that I see. So the pink over here. Okay, I see pink over here. There's more of this dark, I don't know what this is, salmon color? Maybe. Just really lightly scribble some stuff down where it is, because we're gonna blend it later, and it's not gonna matter that much where you put it. Okay, and then this brown I'm gonna use, there's a spot above the eyes usually on dogs, and then this corner of the eye, just don't mess up the eye. Okay, I'm not using any black for the golden fur because it's very, very light. So the darkest I'm willing to go is this brown so far. There's also on the bottom of these, this part, has to be darker. Okay, and then remember to make these parts like gray or whatever color, they're different colors, so. Okay, is that it? Maybe. Okay, moving on to our next color, which is this one. Again, very, very lightly. These things fill out the paper so well, those soft pastel sticks, that you don't need to press hard at all. Oh, I went over that part, it's supposed to be gray. Let's see, I'm gonna find my gray and fix that real quick. Actually, here's a great chance to show you, about erasers. Okay, so unlike graphite, when you do an eraser, it is not going to make a highlight. It is just going to take off or attempt to take off a little bit of that pastel that you put down. So that's just for correcting mistakes. As you can see, that didn't really fix anything. It didn't return it to white. However, now I can more comfortably put down like gray And I'm actually going to use a little bit of black for in here. Okay, that's great. And then I'm going to use a little bit of white here. I don't usually do white on the first layer, but since I'm going to blend it and it's going to look like gray anyway, I think it's fine. The reason I don't put white on the first layer is because if I do that, puts more white. If I do that, then I'm not going to be able to highlight it with anything since white is already like the brightest color, like the lightest one. I've decided to do the rest of the dog in one sitting, so, or not sitting, but like, what's it called? I'm gonna do the first layer for the entire dog and then just do the pencil part also after, instead of doing it by section like I was doing the ear. My outline is so light, I don't know where I put this line. Let's see, I'm estimating it to be there. Okay, should be fine. Pretty sure you guys can't see the outline at all, but I do have a little bit of an outline down. Again, remember to put as little of the soft pastel 6 as you can. That is if you're planning on doing more detail with the pencil later. If you're not, then just do whatever. Trying to be really careful around the eyes. If I do mess up and kind of go into the eyes with these pastels, I can fix it. It just takes more time. And it's frustrating because I'm really happy with the way that the eyes look right now. So we're just blocking in the general color for each little section. You don't have to be entirely accurate because we're going to go over it with pencils later. And you can fix anything there. If you guys would like to commission me to do any pet portraits or wildlife or something, or just buy my wildlife art, my link is in the bio. So when you're doing golden fur, you have to keep in mind that it's not just yellowish, like a golden lab maybe. Sorry, yellow lab, golden retriever, whatever. You're going to want to make sure that the colors that you're using are like you should be. I don't know, in most cases I'm just gonna start saying a bunch of colors. Maybe like, so there's yellow, green, purple, pink, red. It even has some red in there, brown. Green is definitely a big part of that, so make sure that you don't forget to include green, or just up the saturation of your photo like I was talking about before, of your reference photo, and then try to copy that. I guess don't copy the saturated version, but just note to include those colors. And then as you blend stuff out and add more layers, the saturation kind of doesn't become a problem anymore. Okay, and then let's just do the body as well while we're at it. So here's the lighter part. This part in the reference photo is heavily blue. I don't really like that. I'm gonna change it. I'll make it less yellow, but I'm not gonna make it blue. I'm also going to remove the color. Okay, the shadow underneath the chin is really important because otherwise it shows that your dog has no neck, so make sure you remember to include that. But again, don't press down too much. And this shadow is just because there's a fur, I guess, type of fur that goes over the other one. I don't know. This one. I've gotten so far that I feel like I might just have to finish this drawing in one sitting. It's a challenge. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, and then there's some white on the chin there. Okay, and then we said we would put white here. If any of you do, like on YouTube, end up drawing this along with me and like learning how to draw a golden retriever from my video, please tell me so that I know that my videos are helping someone. I don't know, that would just make my day. Okay, I think that is, wait, it's basically it for that layer, so I'm gonna blend stuff now. From the mistake I made last time, okay wait, so yeah. We're not gonna blend the lightest parts with that. Let me just fix that, 1 second, mistakes were made. That never happened, okay. I'm using a clean finger or other blending tool, preferably other blending tool, but I don't have any in the near vicinity. And I'm making an art video, so I think that excuses me. Blend the highlights out so that you don't muddy them up later. Then you can use your soft SOFT tool to blend, or whatever other tool you want. You can use a piece of like tissue paper, toilet paper, other paper, Q-tips, I don't know, a lot of things. Paper blending stumps. You can order all these tools on Amazon or your local art store or like jacksonsartsupplies.com, blick.com. They're all great places to get art supplies. I'm going to fix up the edges of things that I've destroyed, like that tongue area, in a little bit. I'm so glad that you guys are inspired and like that this helps you. Make sure to watch the, or I don't know, check out the YouTube video that I'm gonna upload once I'm done with this for any part that you might have missed if you weren't watching the whole thing. Not that I expect you to have watched the whole thing, it's a very long process, but if you want to get any tips from it, you can like skip around in the video and find what you like. I get quiet when I'm concentrating about not screwing stuff up. Okay. Your voice is very relaxing. Thank you. Okay. I'm still blending. I'm not gonna blend out the white very much because I don't want, oops, I messed up the nose. We're okay. We're gonna be fine. You could also choose to do the spur layer before the rest, but I find that really annoying to not have a place to put my hand when I'm doing details. And yes, you could put a piece of glassine paper on top of your artwork and then draw, and you wouldn't ruin anything, but I still find that annoying, so I either go from left to right, because I'm right-handed, or I do the detailed areas first. By detailed areas, I just mean like parts like the nose that require a lot of effort. Okay, so I'm almost done blending this layer. And then I'm going to do pencils again. Let me just fix this part. Okay. Actually, I want that whole area to be lighter. Don't do what I just did because then you're not gonna have pencil layers enough for pencils, but I will figure it out. Whoops. Okay, anyway. So you can see all the, sorry, let me answer some questions from the chat. So when I draw the fur on this picture, do I do it with a white pastel pencil? I'm actually going to show you that in a little bit, and it's not only white. So I'm going to start with the darker ones, like brown. This is a walnut brown, so let me just get into that. Finished this layer, so I'm going to put these materials somewhere else so that I can show you what I'm doing. So we're here. I don't think do I need any others? I might need this one. Okay, I'm also going to just wipe my hands off really quick. Okay, so I'm going to first go with the brown. Not really the black unless I'm fixing up other areas, but brown. And then I'm going to use this ochre color because it's also darker. And then this one, as you can see, it's going to start going in like a dark to light way. I'm going to put all these like extra colors in, like orange, pink, green, yellow, because all those are present in this type of fur. Usually you would get, if it's like a darker golden color, there would be a lot of red and purple as well, but this dog is more like in a light room at least. So yeah, and then ivory, white, brighter white. I might use this, but basically you're gonna go dark to light. Second, and then for where do I start it? Just wherever I want, I guess. It's helpful to go, if you're right-handed, to go left to right, or if you're left-handed, right to left, because like you want to put your hand here, but it doesn't really matter here because I've already covered the whole paper. So I'm first gonna fix my mistakes. So here I went over into the mouth too much, so I'm just gonna quickly put black down there. And look, it's fine. You don't have to, pastels can be forgiving. Although, okay, wait. Okay. And then where else? Let's see. Just gonna fix this line. And then after that, I will be doing the dark parts of the fur with brown. In just a second. So let's fix the eyes. the reason I started with these detail areas first in the middle of the face is just first to show you, and second so that I could rest my hand and draw without it being awkward and going like this. Okay, so first is brown. You're gonna still want to draw quite lightly. Like, make light strokes. Even if it doesn't show up that well over these areas, it will show up to some extent, and that's good. So follow the direction of the fur and do the dark parts. I need more things to talk about. Let's see. Oh, once you are done with your pastel piece, you might be wondering, well, how am I going to store this, since when I go like that, it like, okay, that wasn't a great example. But if you did that over the nose, which I'm not going to do, that would be horrible. Like, absolutely terrifying to have something ruin that nose right now. And it's very possible that it could. Like, if one of my cats decided to sleep on this, that would be a problem. So the way that you protect it once you're done is you're going to get glassine paper. It's spelled glass and then I-N-E. And the way that, first of all, glassine paper comes, if you're getting a packet of pastel mat that looks like this, or some other color, it's going to come with pieces of glassine paper like in between all the other papers, one per sheet, so then it works out nicely. Or you can just order a roll, like a huge roll of glassine paper on Amazon or somewhere else, and that will all work. The way that helps is it's a clear piece of paper that you put over the top and like paper clip it to the sides is what I do. And then if you run your hand over that, nothing will happen. As long as the glassine paper isn't like being like, I don't know, moved across the page, I think it'll be fine. You can do whatever you want, so that's like really protective. It's not as protective as gloss though, I don't think. So what you're gonna want to do is after you put that glassine paper on it, for as long as it takes you to find a frame, you're gonna get a glass frame and put the artwork inside, obviously without the clear paper attached to it. And then that glass will protect it totally fine. The one thing is that if you want, over time technically the artwork will start sliding down in the glass frame just a little bit, and that will technically cause a little bit of smudging. So if you're worried about that, which I don't really worry about that much, if you're worried about that, what you're gonna want to do is get a, I think it's a mat around it, you know those white borders? When you put that, the paper won't actually touch the glass, it'll just be floating. So floating frame is actually better for pastels. I'll be true to the order here, I'll use this one next. Okay, and then another thing you can do to keep the pastel from smudging once you're done with it is using pastel mat paper. Pastel mat paper is kind of like the solution to everything, pastel mat. And the reason is that it holds like layers so well and textured, like it's a textured paper and it holds layers so well that when I go like, okay, when I go like that, on a less detailed area at least, it won't really cause any noticeable smudges. But if you did that on a normal paper, let me just, yeah, see, I'm going from here to there onto white paper and it's not dragging. I'm not like faking that. It's not dragging onto the white because I haven't put that many layers down, and so it's protecting that basically. But on any other paper, almost any other paper probably, it would definitely smudge off of that. So by using pastel mat, you are helping with that too. Okay, and then I'm gonna use my terracotta. And pink. You don't have to put all those colors in exactly that order, just generally go light to dark. And this pink isn't even doing much right now because of the colors that are already there. And then some green. I'm gonna cheat and go back to brown. There's a shadow under the tip of this ear. And I'm gonna cheat even more and use the black that I said I wouldn't use. Because the shadow is really dark, I'm gonna do kind of black blending into brown. I mean, there's black in the reference photo right there, so I think that's justified. Some artists don't even use black, I think, at least for painting. I don't know, but there's a thing against using black, and they just mix their black colors because they say nothing is truly black. I use black along with other colors and like mix them just to make them darker, but yeah. And this is the part where it gets tedious, so I don't know, the other parts I felt like of this video were a lot more helpful, but this one is just going to take a very long time, and that's basically all I can say about it. Be patient. Do your layers, don't rush, don't skip steps, I guess. If you're impatient, it will show. You'll make like marks, I don't know, more spread out than you should be. They'll be straight, they won't be like exactly the length that you're supposed to make them or in the direction that you're supposed to make them, and that will show. So yeah. Also I don't like how the like the switch from dark to light is like pretty abrupt here, so I'm gonna try to use the ochre color to go in between them. I think it'll look okay in the end after I do the other parts. Right now it looks kind of awkward though. Okay, and then let's do this light part as well. This part I'm not going to start with the brown because there's not a part that's dark, that is that dark. I've been talking a lot, okay, I mess up my words sometimes. Okay, those were the areas that were slightly darker, so I did those in the ochre color. And I'm going to use ivory, actually. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of this cream color, and then I will go to probably just white at that point. I can barely even see this, but it's okay. I think this is the part where I put too many layers of pastel under it. Okay, so ivory for this part. And ivory is just a warm off-white color. Okay, and then let's just go straight to this white. So see, the fur marks here are going to be longer than the ones up here, so make sure you do the curves right and do the length of the fur correctly. Okay, I'm gonna also add this to, actually, this white over here. And then the way you can blend these fur like details without getting rid of all of your details is with this color shaper, like I mentioned before in the video. If you use a blending stump or something like that, or the soft tool, it's going to completely get rid of all of the detail that you just added, but if you use this, it's just going to make it look softer. And it is, again, a color shaper. Okay, let me just fix this part. By fix, I mean do. I never did this part. I'm trying to make sure that everything kind of blends well, I guess. So I have a harsh cutoff here with the brown that I'm trying to fix. Okay, let's start doing this part now. So let me just do the whitest parts first. You know, it has enough layers already, let's just skip to this white. So the reason again that I have two whites is because this one is more vibrant than the other one and it's softer. And I use both because the more layers the better, well, sometimes. And so I can use this white and then highlight it with this other white. So note the direction of the fur around the eyes of the dog. They're going like this, like that, and then like this way, that way. Does that make sense? You can also look up like direction of fur on dogs or something online and it should come up. Like people have drawn arrows just all across the faces of whatever dogs to show artists the direction of the fur. Because if you don't have the reference or a very good reference, it's pretty hard to figure that out, at least for beginners. I decided to start with the light parts of this dog. Well, just for now. I was doing the darker parts first earlier. I don't know. I got bored. I switched things up. This is ochre, which needs to be sharpened. So sharpen this. Let me show you my sharpener. So this is, its blade is pretty dull, but it's a Crane Candle Swordfish brand. That might have broken, we'll see. No, it didn't. Okay, that's how sharp I need it to be. You can work with sharper pencils, it's just that mine break a lot since I don't have a new sharpener, and I have to get a new one, but I haven't gotten around to it, so I don't want them to break. When they break, they're really annoying to sharpen again without breaking, and then also, it's a waste of money. Pastels are pretty expensive. I usually keep the tips and try to do drawings with them, like I have, today this broke, this piece, like this huge white chunk that was so sad. This pencil was $5, I'm not even kidding, $5 USD for this one pencil because it's this brand. The other ones are not that expensive, but still. So this much is worth something. And then do not, oh my gosh, do not throw away pencils unless they literally run out of, because this very, very tip usually doesn't actually have, okay, well, you should use them until there's literally a sliver left of that thing, if at all. There are pencil extenders, you should get them. Do not throw out pencils. In fact, if you've used a pencil that much, you might like it a lot, and you might want to keep it as like a little reminder of that pencil and its life. So I have a little place or jar that I put my pencils. My little pencils. I'll show that to you guys later. I kind of skipped around. I don't know what I'm doing. This is ochre again. It's Sorry, I can't tell you exactly which ochre, but it's the 182 of the Faber-Castell set, and I'll try to list my colors later on when I post this on YouTube. Okay, and then we can use some light flesh for the lighter areas that look kind of pink, like here, here, and here. I'm gonna get rid of the white that's right around the eye. I was too scared to get close to it with the blending tool or the pastel sticks. There's also a bit of a shadow on this corner. Another thing that's great about color shapers is that the tips get really pointy. Well, the tips are really pointy, and you can use them to get into really small areas that you couldn't get to with your finger or with a blending stump. Okay, and the lighter layers include this cream color. I forgot terracotta on this part. Okay. This is cream. This is terracotta. And then I'm going to put white. And then there's black in this corner, so I'm gonna put that in. It's another art topic. How to get rid of art block maybe, or how to deal with that. Okay, well, let's see. So if you're having trouble like finishing art pieces or like finding motivation, one of the things you can do is think like, what is your favorite thing to draw? Not just like a whole animal or a whole subject, whatever you're drawing, but just specifically, like I like drawing eyes. So to overcome not being motivated to drawing anything, I would just draw some eye. I would find an eye off the internet, and I'd probably just scroll for a very, very long time and find an eye that I like. And then I would just draw that eye only, probably pretty big to get detail. And that would get me drawing again, because I love drawing eyes, but maybe I wanted to avoid drawing like the fur, because that can be tedious sometimes. For me, it's usually if I'm unmotivated to draw, it's because I've been drawing too many pets in a row, and by too many I mean like 50. I don't get bored very easily, but if I've drawn so many dogs or cats or something, I need a break from that. And my true like obsession with drawing is with wildlife, actually. I do like drawing fluffy dogs and cats, and they're great, and I love their little smiles. Like this dog has a smile, and it's amazing. But I like fall in love with wildlife pieces. Right now I'm aching to draw this one snow leopard. So occasionally I'll give myself breaks from pet portraits, and I'll try to like get ahead on the pet portraits, or give myself room by just skipping a week in my planning calendar when I'm booking people, so that I can use that time to draw for myself. But yeah. Thank you guys. Okay, next thing is here. I didn't put any brown really in this part of the fur, so I'm gonna lightly add that in. You don't really have to go dark to light. I would just recommend that you do. If you forget a dark color, don't worry about it. Just add it in. And I'm trying to make sure that this line right here of shadow isn't really a sharp line, because we're trying to make everything kind of blend together. I'm putting the cream in the areas that I think are yellowy, so that's a lot. The top of the head really doesn't need that much shadow at all. I'm just gonna probably put some green or terracotta in there to give it the contrast, but yeah. And I know I said to like identify these shapes, and that's why this is like clearly much lighter than the other area, but you don't want to leave it like that. Like take a white, for example, here, and drag it into the surrounding. Make sure that it doesn't look out of place. And then you can also take colors that are in the surrounding area and drag it into here. But just be careful when you're doing dark on top of light and you don't really want to make a muddy thing. Just go very, very lightly, because dark shows up on light a lot more than light shows up on dark. It's hard to fix, so okay. Let's go with ivory over here. So I changed my mind, I'm gonna do white. Again, you want to make sure that the outline is not does not look like a cutout, because dogs or whatever else you're drawing that has fur is going to be fluffy, and so they're going to be little pieces like off the edge. I haven't done many flyaway hairs being like these ones floating around over here. I haven't done many of those yet because it's something I do at the end after I've decided for sure if I'm doing a background or not. And yes, I do my portrait before the background if I'm going to do anything, because it's easier to add details, or like if I had whatever background here, I would constantly be worrying about stuff blending into each other and me messing something up by putting my arm down. Again, notice how these fur strokes are so short, and here it's like a lot longer. Okay, and we're gonna have to do the whole dark corner thing over here with this eye as well, so the whole area needs to be darker around it. So I'm gonna put these eyelash looking things around the edge. I guess they kind of are, some of them are eyelashes, I don't know. Okay, so I've gone around the edge with that, and then we're gonna do black. And see, the reason I'm putting the black here is because this black line looks awkward with just right next to that brown. And if you don't think it looks awkward, you would like eventually train your eyes to see that. Like, you need to put this black into the brown. Like, that's a transition thing that you're doing there. And now it looks less awkward. So again, I'm just putting, like, we already have a mid-tone down, which was what the soft pastel sticks did, and then we're using, like, the next darkest color I can see here is ochre for this general area of fur. And there's like a spot of brown right here. I hope you guys appreciate how organized I'm being for you, because usually my pencils do not look like this. And usually I use a couple more like colors in this, and I usually have a whole mess of pencils and I keep changing the colors, but to make things more simple, I'm making myself figure out the colors with just these, but it's all good. Okay, and then we use this cream because it's yellowy. And then there's a really bright area on this side. And that's why we're using white. Thank you guys. Okay, what should we do next? I'm gonna do, actually that's not smart. Okay, we're gonna do the ear now. How have I managed to keep these in order? I do not know. Anyway, there's a little sliver of black in this shadow. And then, actually, and in here. I love how this is just a smile. It's really cute. And then this one, there's brown here and brown here. been talking for a while. It's just, I think I said everything that I feel like can be said. Anyway, now I'm gonna use the gray and black and white to do this part, because as the rest of the drawing was golden, or the rest of the fur was golden, I didn't have to deal with black and gray very much, but now I do, so that's what I'm doing now. I started with black, and then I'm using a cold gray because this color looks closer to like blue than, for example, yellow to me. So yeah, and then I can also see a little bit of pink actually right here. But it's fine, I already have like a base layer, so I can just go over it with white right now. And I'm using my less vibrant white. It's less vibrant because it's like a harder type pastel pencil. All these little parts are whiskers, so I will be doing the whiskers later, but I guess these are kind of mini whiskers. And the bottom of this part of the mouth is going to be shadowed, so that would mean gray in this case. And then we make it make more sense by just drawing with white over it. Okay, that didn't really work. We're gonna put more gray. I'm gonna put some black in it too. And then once we put white over that, it should be okay. And don't forget this little, you know how when you draw like a smiley face and then you put this curve at the end of the smile, that's what that is. It's like a highlight little bump that happens when people / dogs smile. It's really cute. So again, just like up here and all around, the right side of the dog is especially really bright, so I'm going to highlight with white on those parts especially. So like I'd put cream and then I'll put white on the right side. Like this. Using erasers, I'm just cleaning the eraser right now. Using erasers to fix kind of smudges on the paper works really well, by the way. And then I have this little tool to get rid of these things. If you blow too hard, you end up accidentally spitting, so make sure you don't do that. Although I've, I think 2 or 3 times accidentally spat on my paper, like a little drop of spit has dropped. Actually, that might be one. Pastel mat handles it really well though. Like, you just draw over it and it's fine. I think people even use like paint to make backgrounds black sometimes on pastel mat. I'm too scared to do so, but you can look that up. Part of this pencil is, yeah, it's scratching the paper, so I'm just gonna get rid of that. Okay. And then I'm gonna put ivory over here. When I'm ending a piece, like kind of cut off and not finishing it all the way to the edge of the paper, which I sometimes like doing because I think it looks nice, I don't make it like a straight cut. I try to make it look more like it's faded. You can't really fade it onto a background a lot of the time unless you use another color for the background to fade it, which you could do also. But what I do is I kind of just let it go off the edge by making like marks on the end of making sure it doesn't look like a straight line. Straight lines look kind of weird. That could be your style, that's fine, but it looks a little bit like your head has been cut off when you do that. Also make sure not to end your drawings like there, because then it looks like if you just draw the face, it looks like the head has been cut off. So you want to get to like the shoulders, like where I've gotten, before you end the drawing. Wow, I'm so close to being done. I need to do this part and fix up here and then do over here. I did not expect to do this in one sitting. Oh my gosh, I've been staring at the paper for so long, my eyes have like, looking far away is a little bit blurry. Oh well. Remember to look up once in a while if you are drawing for a very long time. I have such helpful tips. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I sat down to start drawing this, I'm gonna say around 4 p.m. and it's currently 6:18. This is a freaking record. It might be a little bit before 4 that I started, but still, it was definitely past 3 since I got home from school at, I wanna say 3:30. Like, this, I don't know how this happened. I guess it's because I've drawn a lot of golden retrievers and I was trying to go relatively fast because of the video and like not get lazy, so you guys have motivated me, but I don't know how yeah, that's a mystery. And then, well, I hope this tutorial is gonna be like helpful when I post it on YouTube. I will be talking about it for like other TikTok videos that I make, so hopefully people will go check it out from there. But if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can see it later on, that would be great. It's linked in the bio and it's also just the same account name. I should change it, but I haven't yet, so. My colors are still sort of in order, so I think I deserve a congratulations just for that. Okay, what else was I gonna fix? There's this. Watch me forget to do this part of the, this is not finished, I need to remind myself. I've been looking at it so long, can't even see it right. I'm pretty sure this is one of my best drawings, I just can't see it yet because I've been staring at it for so long, so I bet I'm gonna go to sleep and wake up and be like, whoa, this is really good. But that's kind of a thing that happens with art. Okay, so I did the gray there too, I believe, right? Let's add some more. Oh yeah, I did the gray. Okay, and then I'm gonna add white. Okay, and then similarly to how this part was like gray on the bottom, this part is going to be shadowed too, but it's brown this time. I think there is a color picking app or multiple color picking apps that even go along with certain brands, so you can like put or submit a photo, whatever you're using for your reference, and then you select whatever medium you're using. I don't really know how many brands it does or if it's just one. I'm not really sure, but you guys can look into it. And then it'll just tell you the number and name of that color depending on which brand or which medium you're using. Like, it just tells you all the colors you need for that piece. And I haven't used it, but I've heard a lot about it, so I feel like I should look into that soon. I don't think I need it, but it would be really cool. And it might help me figure out the colors. Like, maybe I'm missing something, I don't know. Okay, let's see, this is that part on the side that I was talking about. It's like brighter. It's that curved thing on the side of a grin. I'm not making any sense, am I? It's okay. Somebody just said that they took a nap while I was drawing the ear and now it's finished. That's great, oh my gosh. Okay, let's see what else. I need to do this part, but before that, I found a part where I messed up. Look at that. The black disappears. See, there's like a black triangle thing, and then the black there, and then they disappear into that tooth, but mine does not disappear, so we're gonna fix that. It's not really that important, I don't think, but I think I can fix it, so I'll just do that. So I'm gonna use a dark color. If I use a light color, it's just gonna look like a light color over black, so I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna use a semi-dark color, which I've determined can be ochre, and press pretty hard until it's just a really dark ochre. So now it's not black where I messed up, so we're all good. And then we're just gonna go over that like this. See, I make all of these mistakes just to show you guys. No, I'm kidding, but see, that's how you can fix a mistake. And then, oops, you can go over it with whatever other colors you want. And it all works out. Means to any of you, but that's what it is. And then to make the gray make sense, we need to, I think that's good for that part. Okay, and then like I said, white. Not even my brightest white, but still white. So pay attention. Alright, so now going to blend this out, and I'm gonna draw ochre again, but this time in the direction of the fur. This part is darker though, so okay, cannot mess up the whole colors thing at the last part of this video. We need to keep the colors in the right order. Okay, I don't know why I'm doing that. I guess I thought it would be easier for you guys to follow if I keep the colors where I put them before. Okay, so a bunch of brown here and there, and then also black. To transition. And then I'm going to use this light flush pink. I don't know where my medium flush went. I kind of miss it. I can't find it. We're almost at the whisker part, so yay us. And then this part needs to be kind of brighter. Let's use white. Okay, I do need to like spend some time to take go look somewhere else for a while and then come back to this to make sure I'm not missing anything, and probably do some tweaking as well. But that's basically it. I mean, I'm gonna blend out this part. If you have any questions, let me know. I will be posting this on YouTube. Hopefully you're watching it on YouTube. And again, if you'd like to order a pet portrait, I would love to do that for you. You can message me on Instagram or email me, or the link is in my bio, or in the bio of Instagram and TikTok for ordering stuff. I feel like I could do little tweaks forever, Oh, I'm missing whiskers. Okay, wait. Okay, I'm probably missing a lot of stuff, but it's basically almost done. Okay, wait. Okay, awesome. I need to sharpen this in order to do whiskers, so we're gonna try to do that. It might break though. It broke earlier. Thank you guys. So we're gonna try sharpening this. Hopefully it doesn't break. Let's see. It didn't. We're all good. Okay, perfect. We are almost ready to do whiskers, except that I just saw that I want to put the tiny corrections I do. Oh my gosh, I want to put. Don't ask me why. That just needed to be there. Let's see. There we go. Okay, now it's finished. Okay, no. This. So, right, this is how you make whiskers. You need to curve them, and you should be twisting your pencil while you're doing this. Caran d'Ache Chinese White is the best pencil for whiskers or any sort of like white highlights. Okay, so, and then the way that we fix whisker mistakes, it's not exactly a mistake, but what you want to do is, you see how it's like starting really abruptly over here? You want to take whatever blender you can use, a pencil, a blending stump, or your finger, although I wouldn't recommend it, or this color shaper. And you're just going to blend out the very tip of it so that it doesn't look like it's coming out of nowhere. It's like from within the fur. Okay, and now I'm going to sign it. See, I say now I'm going to sign it, but then I immediately see something wrong. I'm going to sign it, and that requires sharpening this one. Thank you guys. If you would like to see this, the tutorial on how I did this, go to my YouTube channel. I will be posting it shortly. Sharp enough, okay. I saw something wrong again. What is it? Right, okay. You need to put I know I keep making little adjustments. I just wanted to show you guys the whole process so that I'm not cutting anything out or cheating. I don't know why that would be cheating, but I promised you the full video, so here is the full video. Okay, I'm signing it. Ready? We're doing this side. Ready? Ta-da! Thank you guys so much for watching. Here is some up close, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Bye bye.